Welcome back to Namaste Node.js. This is an advanced episode. In this episode, we are going to see that how modules actually work behind the scenes. We will actually dive deep into the require function. We will dive deep into module.exports. We will see how a new module is loaded into our page and how Node.js manages and works behind the scenes when you have multiple modules running your code. Okay. So we will see all this, and this is going to be really advanced. And trust me, in most of the Node.js courses out there, you won't find all this information. This is a dive deep into the modules, into the module.export, into the require, and how things work behind the scenes. Okay. Hope you are enjoying it and hope you will enjoy this session. Let us just get started now. First question I want to ask to you is, right, first major question that comes out of curiosity is, whenever you are requiring any module, suppose if I require this module multiply over here, right, in this index.x, index.js, or in app.js, suppose if I do require xyz.js, what happens behind the scenes? And another important question is, as you have already seen, suppose if you have a variable x over here, right, where x is equals to 100 over here, this is into a private space, right? A module has its own private space. You cannot access this x outside of this module, or outside of this file. You cannot access the value of this x, isn't it? So let us just see first of all how this happens, how Node.js is able to do this. Okay, so it is very easy, and you will be surprised when you will get to know that what Node.js is doing behind the scenes, right? It will be very amazing for you. Okay, so let me go back and let me show it to you one thing first of all. See, we already know how Node.js works, right? So this is Node.js. Inside Node.js, you have a V8 engine. So Node.js is giving your code to V8 engine, and V8 engine actually executes our code over here, right, in this area. Okay, so this is what happens. So when you load a module, suppose we have this module XYZ. Okay, so now I'll tell you what happens. So before going inside the modules, one thing I want to tell you is that in JavaScript, if you create a function, okay, if you create a function over here, right? Suppose if you create a function x, okay, all the variables and functions inside this function, suppose this is a function, all the variables that you create inside it, right? Suppose you create a variable constant a is equals to 10, and you create, suppose, let's create a function also. Suppose you create a function. It is possible inside, you can create a function inside a function. That's how JavaScript is, isn't it? Right? So suppose if you have a function b inside it, right? So all these things, console.log b, okay, let's do console.log b over here, right? So we have this function. Whatever is there inside this function, it is privately scoped. What I am trying to say is, if suppose you want to do a console.log of a over here, can you do this? Can you do this? If you will execute this file, if you will execute this code, will you be able to access a outside of this function? The answer is no. The answer is no, my dear friends. You will not be able to execute it. Let me just show it to you. Let me run npm node app.js. Okay, or let me just directly run node xyz.js. Okay, if I run this, so it gives you an error. What error? A is not defined. See this. You cannot access a outside of this function. Whenever you wrap some piece of code inside a function, it creates its own space, right? It has its own scope. If you don't understand how scope works behind the scenes, okay, if you don't understand that how the scope works, then basically go on YouTube. I have a YouTube video, Akshay Saini scope chain, right? Scope chain video, right? So yes, this is the YouTube video. Go ahead and watch this YouTube video. This will give you a very good understanding of how scope works, right? And also watch this video, block scope, right? block scope and shadowing in JS. Okay, watch these two videos in sequence in Namaste JavaScript on YouTube. So that will give you a better understanding of how scope works. But basically what I am trying to say is that you cannot access the variables and functions inside another function outside of it. So whenever you are wrapping some code inside a function, see, this is the code. If this code was outside, right? If this code was outside, you can access it anywhere, right? Or if it is on top level, you can access it anywhere. Everything will work fine. But if you wrap this code inside a function, now the scope of this code, this variable and function, can only be accessed inside, not outside this function. So if you wrap some code inside a function, it creates a private space for itself. And let me tell you, my dear friends, that modules work the same way in JavaScript. In Node.js, whenever you are creating a new module, suppose if you created a new module, all that code that you write inside this module is wrapped inside a function and then executed. This is why you cannot access any variables and functions. Suppose if this calculates sum, you cannot access this outside. The only way to access that outside is via module.exports. So what I am trying to say, let me recap it once again. Whenever you create a module, whenever you create a new module, suppose this sum.js is a new module, whenever there is a new file, right? Whenever you require, right? When you require this file, what happens is Node.js takes the code from this file, whatever is there in this xyz.js, wraps it into a function and then execute it. So when it is wrapped inside a function, it will not interfere with other things. So basically what happens is, instead of this require, what happens is Node.js creates a function, right? Creates a function, and all the code that is there in XYZ is put inside this function. All the code of the module is run inside this function. And suppose if there are any variables and methods which are there inside this function, you cannot directly access outside. You can only access if it is exported, if module.export is exported outside. Do you understand this? This is a very small concept, and I'm telling you, there are so many Node.js developers and nobody will know this concept. I'm telling you, very less people know about this. Only the curious people, only the people who are excited to learn more, only the people who have researched well, only the people who have learnt it well knows about this. Otherwise, they don't know how things work. Why you cannot access the variables and functions of one module into another? Why? Because it is wrapped inside your function. Now, okay, so that means, let me write it down, or let me note it down, and you also note it in your notebook, right? All the code of the module is wrapped inside a function when you call require, right? When you call require, right? This require method and give it a path. Give it a path, right? Give it some path, /path. So what happens is, it just wraps all the code and then runs it. This is how it works. And when it wraps the code inside a function, now this function is not a normal function. This function is a special function, and that function is known as IIFE. So IIFE or IFE, right? IFE. Okay, note it down. It's a very important concept in JavaScript. This is not something Node has to do. This is a concept in JavaScript. Okay, IFE. And this IFE is known as immediately invoked function expression. Function expression. Okay, so IFE means immediately invoked function expression. So whenever there is, the whole code of module is wrapped inside a function, and that function is IIFE, it's IFE, which is immediately invoked function expression. Right? It's amazing, right? Let me tell you what is immediately an invoked function expression. So see, create an anonymous function. Let me create a function. See, JavaScript is an amazing language, right? I just love JavaScript that way. You can do random stuff inside JavaScript, and it's amazing. So what is immediately invoked function expression? It means that you created a function expression. Now you are actually invoking it very quickly, right? Invoking it right away. So what you are trying to do is you are basically creating a function. Just see this code once. Just see this code, right? You have created a function, right? You have created a function, and then you are invoking it immediately, right? You are just calling it on the fly. You are just actually invoking it, right? So basically how do functions work in JavaScript normally is you create a function X, and then you call X, right? But suppose you don't give a name to this function, it's an anonymous function. That is a perfectly valid JavaScript code. JavaScript can create anonymous function without a name, and you are immediately invoking it, right? Now you have to wrap it inside brackets, otherwise it won't work, right? That is again a logic why it won't work. But see, suppose if you quickly, so this is an immediately invoked function. Basically this is a function and you are immediately calling it, right? You are immediately calling this function. This is immediately invoked function expression. Now, and what happens is all the code of module is wrapped inside this. So all the code of the module comes over here. All code of the module runs inside this function, right? Runs inside here. Okay, all the code. So suppose if you have created this thing, right? If you require, when you require something, when you call this require, so what will Node.js do? Node.js will take all your code, it will wrap inside this function, and then it will give it to V8, right? Let me just show it to you diagram. Wait. So before giving the code to V8, before giving this code to V8, this code, it is wrapping it up. Okay. So before giving this code to V8, right, this code is wrapped inside an IIFE. IIFE, right? So IIFE, IIFE, I've always wanted to create a YouTube video explaining what is IIFE, right? IIFE. But I could not do it. But in future, I will create a video of IIFE in Namaste JavaScript on YouTube. But read about it. It's not very what you'll say. It's not very tough or something. It's easy. So just see what is IIFE. So let me just take down notes also so read about it because it's very important also. And that's how, nobody will tell you all these things, but I'm telling you this is important, very, very important concept. So IIFE means you have a function, right? This is an anonymous function. And suppose this function, you want to invoke it right away, right? So wrap this function inside a expression. So basically, see, when you create a function and you put this parenthesis, that means it becomes an expression, right? You can execute it right away. And then you immediately invoke it, right? So this is known as immediately invoked function expression. Okay, so this is IIFE. Very important concept. Note it down in your notebook. Can be asked in your interviews also. And this is very good for information. Now, why do you need IIFE? So what happens is it solves multiple purpose. First thing, it immediately invokes the code. Immediately invokes the code, right? Because support invokes the code. Because when I am loading a new module, I want to immediately invoke the code, right? So I want to immediately invoke whatever is there in my xyz.js, isn't it? I want to immediately invoke all the code. So that is why I will put it inside my image. And the second thing, and the most important thing is, very important thing is, it keeps for privacy. The major concern is privacy. It keeps your variables and functions private. Privacy keeps variable and functions safe, right? This is the most important thing. It does not interfere. So suppose if you wrap any code inside a IFI, if you will wrap any code, so the code whatever is there inside won't interfere. Suppose if there is var a outside, var a is equals to 100, you can create a var a inside also, right? The code will not interfere, right? So the 1000 value of var a will work inside this function, inside this module, and whatever the code is there outside, it's independent piece of code now. If you have wrapped a code inside a IFI, that means it's an independent code. Do you understand that? Now, this is an amazing thing, right? It's very it's sometimes it's taxing for your head to understand that what is happening behind the scenes, but this is how it works, right? So all the code I'm explaining you once again, and I'm going very slow, my dear friends. If you don't understand it, watch this video once again. Suppose if you have this sum function, or if you have this multiply component, so assume that whenever you call a require, whenever you do a require statement, so what happens is all your multiply code is copied inside this, right? All this code is copied inside this. Assume that this Node.js is wrapping it inside an IFI and then calling it. This is how your thing works. Now, you will ask me, Akshay, suppose if this code is being wrapped inside a function, right? And let me also give you, right? That is why it is keeping the variable private, right? So one important question that can be asked is, right, that you should have answer to is that question. Note it down. Very important question. How are variables and functions private in different modules? You know the answer to this, right? You got the answer to this question. How are variables and functions private inside different modules? Why can't we access it, right? Because of IFI. The answer is IFI and require statement, right? Require statement is wrapping our code in IFI, wrapping code inside IFI, right? So this is a very important question and a very small thing that you should realize it. Now the other question is, let me take, how do you get access to module.export, right? Where does the module.export come from, right? We should ask that question also, right? So we have this function, this multiply.js file. Where is this module coming from? Where is this module coming from? Where is this module coming from, my dear friends? Where it is coming from, right? I have not added module, right? Who added this module over here? Node.js is adding module. Why you are able to use module over here is because when your code is wrapped inside a function, this function has a parameter module over here, right? This function has a parameter module over here. Okay, so basically when you are invoking it, there is a module being passed, right? It's an empty object, right? Module.exports is an empty object. Do you know? Module.exports is passed over here. This module is passed over here. Okay, so this is how Node.js is basically wrapping all the code inside IFI and it is passing module inside it. Now let me tell you one more important thing. Suppose if you want to, this is a module, right? Suppose if you want to include one module inside it, suppose if you want to write a require statement inside it, can you write it? Yes, definitely you can, right? You can give any path you want to. You can give this path. When you will require this, Node.js will not complain. Node.js will not complain. Where this require is coming from? Where is this require coming from? This require is also passed over here. So do you see that? Whenever you create a new file, and then you can basically require something over here, right? Basically, you can require something over here. Require any file. So, do you understand? I hope you are understanding it. If you are not understanding it, please, 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 like, just, what I am trying to say, just uh, pause the video, go back and rerun it, and let me also give you a summary also, right? I don't know, it can be a little confusing also, even it is tough for me to explain all these things, but I want to explain you because I want my students to be really good, right? So, first question, right? Why the variables are private? Why the variables are private? The variables are private because of IFI. All the code of the module, suppose this is my module, all this code is wrapped inside a function. Now, how do you get access to this require, module, all these things? How do you get access to all of this? It is given access because the function it is wrapped. See, at the end of the day, all the code that you write in over here, all the code that you will write will be wrapped inside a function, and that function will have these parameters, modules and require. Where are these modules and require coming from? These are given by node. These module and require are given by node, and there are some more parameters which we will see in a while, right? Don't worry, we will talk about all these things also, okay? But you have to understand that if he is working over here, okay? If he is working over here, let me just comment down all this code because we don't need it, okay? But this is the explanation. Now, let me just quickly explain you once again, right? So basically, so how the answer to this question will be? The answer to this question will be Node.js wraps, Node.js passes module as a parameter, one of the parameter to the IIFE, right? In which the code is wrapped, right? So this module is a parameter which is passed to IFE. So basically, if I have to draw a diagram and tell you, suppose you have some piece of code inside a module, right? This is a module. Let's call this as xyz.js. This is a module, right? So what happens is Node.js takes your code, and wraps it inside a function, creates a IFE, right? Function creates a IFE. Now this IFE is basically an immediately invoked function, right? You have executed it immediately, and this code is then passed inside it, right? This code basically is passed inside it over here, right? So basically, this code is inside over here, right? Basically, this xyz.js code is wrapped inside this, right? And over here, Node.js also adds your module, also adds your require. I have explained you in all the ways. I have written code and explained to you. I have explained to you theoretically, right, in this slide, and I have also made a diagram and showed it to you. Got it? So this is how Node.js does. Now, when Node.js wraps everything inside this, right? When Node.js wraps everything inside this, all of this thing, then it passes this code to your V8 engine. Do you understand? And then V8 engine executes it, and all the variables and functions which are there inside this does not interfere with, all the variables and function inside this will not interfere with the rest of the other code. So what is Node.js doing? It is wrapping your module inside IFE and then adding some extra things to it and then giving it to V8 engine, right? And then V8 engine executes your code properly. V8 engine knows how to execute this IFE. Got it? That's how everything works. So hope you would have understood it, why it works the way it works. Okay, this was an amazing thing. Now let me also tell you 5-step mechanism of require, right? So this require, right, whenever you do a require of some path, what happens, right? What happens behind the scenes? There are 5 steps 5 steps that happens to get the module and execute the code. Okay, what are these 5 steps? First thing is, the first step over here is resolving the module. What do you mean by resolving the module? Basically, whenever you say resolving a module, that means it checks whether this module is a local path, right? Or this is a JSON path, right? Can be a JSON file also. Or it is a node colon, right? Internal module, node module, right? There can be different type of require statements, isn't it? So basically, see, we have seen over here, right? So there can be this path, there can be node.util, there can be calculate, there can be data.json. So every require needs to do something different, right? So suppose if you are requiring this data.json, for getting this JSON, you need a different logic, right? So basically, in the first step, it sees that what type of data it is coming, whether it is coming from a node module, whether it is coming from a JSON file, whether it is coming from a local path, and accordingly it resolves the module, right? The second step which require statement does is, which is known as loading the module. Okay. How do you load the module? It depends on the type, right? Basically now it is loading the file content. File content is loaded. Okay. According to file type. So suppose if the file type is a local module, is a node repository, right? So accordingly, suppose if it's a JSON file, if it's a local path, if it's a node module, the file content is loaded, right? The third thing is when the module code is loaded, right? Module code is loaded. The third thing which happens is it wraps inside an IFI. The third step is wraps inside an IFI. Okay. The third thing that happens is it wraps inside a IFI. The fourth step is code evaluation. And in this step only, require and module.export happens. Module.export is returned, right? Module.export is returned. Got it? So this is where export statement happens. Sorry, not require, module.export happens over here, right? In this evaluation state, module.export happens. And the fifth step is caching. Then the module is cached. Now, this is very, very important. I will tell you this once again. But first of all, let me recap everything first, right? So you understood that Node.js takes this module, wraps it inside an IFI, and then gives this code to V8 Engine, right? And puts this inside it, right? Puts these extra things inside this function. Now, what is the process for this, right? What happens, right? What happens when you require a file? Whenever you require a file, there are multiple things happens. First thing that happens is what? Let me just show it to you. The first thing is resolving the module. So basically, it checks whether this is a JS file, whether this is a node util, whether this is a JSON file, whether this is a folder. What happens, right? It just resolves it. That is all it does. Now, what it does is it loads the file content. So basically now, whatever is there in this file, right? xyz.js or whatever is there in this calculate file, it gets that data. Now, once it has this data, then it wraps inside the IFI. Right? So what will happen is, now it will wrap it inside this IFI. In the fourth step is evaluation, right? In the fourth step, the code is executed and this module.export is returned, right? So basically what it does is, later on it returns the module.export. Okay? It returns the module.export outside. because that is when you get the data, right? Suppose if you do require, so the require method returns something, right, which comes into util. So similarly, when you require this calculate, the module that export that you did inside this index.js file, this module.export, this is returned. Where it is returned? Over here, right? So this thing happens in the fourth step, module.export, and then the module is cached. And then the module is cached. Very, very important. Note it down. Note it down. Very, very important. Now I'll tell you. Now let me tell you. Suppose if there are multiple modules, right? Suppose if app.js requires ./xyz. Okay. And now suppose some also requires the same, right? XYZ. It should be /, right? Yes, // because it is outside this folder. Now suppose is XYZ is also required by multiply.js. Okay, let's see. I don't know why it will be required, but suppose, right, it requires. So what will happen? There are multiple files requiring multiple modules. What happens is node caches the require. What does that mean is the code of this require will run only once. The code of that require will only run once. How? Let me show it to you. See, there are three files. App.js also has require XYZ. Sum also has require XYZ. Multiply also has require XYZ. What will happen when you run this file, right? When you run node app.js, so what will happen? It will require that XYZ and all this process will happen for XYZ. And then at the last step, it will cache it. At the last step, it will cache the execution of it. And then next time, suppose if this sum is requiring it, so it will just return from the cache. It will not do all these things once again. It will not load it once again into an IFE and all that stuff. No, it will not do. It will just return from the cache. Got it? So caching is a very important concept. Because let me tell you one more efficient thing is there are, in a real world project, there are hundreds of files which are requiring hundreds of modules. And there are so many modules that are required by so many files. So if you keep loading this file XYZ once again in every module, then it will become a mess, right? Your application will become very slow. So Node.js makes it very efficient by caching it up. This is the behind the scenes how require works. Got it? This is the behind the scenes of how require works. So now in this video, I have explained a lot of theory, lot of jargons, and trust me, this is an advanced video. If you don't understand any of it, still you can be a Node.js developer. But if you want to be an amazing Node.js developer, if you want to be Node.js expert, then you should know all of this. If you want to love Node.js, you should know all of this. I'm telling you the more details I will tell you about Node.js, you will start loving Node.js. And I will make you fall in love with Node.js by the end of this series. Don't worry. I will make you fall in love with Node.js, my dear friends. Okay? So if you are fallen in love with Node.js already, slowly, that's really great. But I'm just telling you how beautiful things work. Somebody would have written this logic, isn't it? Some developer would have written this require function also, right? We are just using this require function. Require and then give us a path. Somebody would have written this require function also, right? Who would be doing all these things? And when you find that require function, it will be doing all these things, isn't it? It will be doing all these things behind the scenes. Amazing, how amazing it is. This is what I wanted to show you over here by this whole knowledge. And one more important thing which we don't understand is whenever you write any piece of JavaScript code, whenever you are writing any piece of JavaScript code, this is not directly passed into V8. Lot of Node.js developers don't know this, right? This is not directly passed into V8, right? This is not directly passed into V8. People think that this is directly passed inside V8. No. It is wrapped inside a IFE and then passed. Very less developers know this. This is a very, If you just dive deep and be curious, then you will know all of this, right? I would want all my students to know all of this, and I would want all my students to know and appreciate when they will write code, right? When you will write this code, when you will write this one statement, you should know that behind the scenes so much Node is doing. Node.js is wrapping it inside an IFE, passing the module and require function inside it, and then executing it, wrapping it up, giving it to V8, and then V8 is executing it. So many things are happening behind the scenes. Got it? So I told you, right, in this series, in Namaste Node, I will just slowly, one by one, peel the layers of Node.js. There are one thing supporting the other thing, supporting the other thing. So Node.js basically is doing a lot of thing over here, right? So it's not directly just passing the code there, right? It is doing a lot more thing. The code that you write is not directly passed into V8. No, Node.js wraps it up. I know that a lot of you must be feeling exhausted already, but do you want to dive a little more deep? Shall I dive a little more deep? Okay. So let's dive a little more deep, because I am not going to leave you like this, okay? So now I will actually go inside the Node.js repository, the open source Node.js repository, and show you how this require function is written by Node.js developers. Somebody is writing that code also, right? So let us just explore it, and this will be a very amazing session, my dear friend. Okay, so let's just do that. Let us just see actually what is this require, right? What happens behind the scenes when you run require? I have told you everything in theory, but is there a code for it? Yes, you will have to go to the Node.js GitHub repository. I'll show it to you, don't worry. You know, I am saying 99.99% of Node.js developers have never gone to this GitHub repository and tried to understand that Node.js is an open source framework, right? It's open source. See this, Node.js is an open source project, but nobody has ever gone to the Node.js repository to ever see what is there inside Node.js. This is the whole code of Node.js, my dear friend. You can just see everything inside Node.js, right? It's open. Whatever you write, module.export, require, everything is written inside it. Everything is written inside it. Nothing can happen inside Node.js which is not written over here. Trust me, right? When people say that, okay, there is V8 inside Node.js, right? We draw a very beautiful diagram of V8 inside Node.js, right? How do we draw it? It looks very fancy, right? We say that there is V8 inside this Node.js. What do I mean? Let me show it to you. There is a deps folder, and inside that deps folder, there is a V8 folder. This is your V8. Do you see this? This is your V8 JavaScript engine. In the diagram, we show it very beautifully. So Node.js, inside that, there is V8. Isn't it? So what is V8? V8 is this, J folder. It's just piece of some JavaScript code. Not JavaScript, sorry, C++ code. That is all V8 is. What is a V8? Now, when I say that, okay, there are some superpowers, there is global and so many things. What are these superpowers? These superpowers of these code. These code are superpowers. These code are the superpowers, and slowly we will dive deep into it also. One amazing superpower is, I am giving you a spoiler, okay? One amazing superpower is this UV library. This is the libuv library. This is the libuv library. Remember this dinosaur. Not dinosaur, I think it's a unicorn. So it's a unicorn, and this libuv library is one of the most amazing superpower that Node has. Most amazing. libuv is a beast, I am telling you. libuv is the library that is responsible for making Node.js amazing. Node.js is popular just because of libuv. The most exciting part about Node.js is libuv. In further videos, I will be explaining you everything that libuv does, and you will be amazed, my dear friends. You might have heard of event loop inside Node.js. That is inside libuv. You might have heard about multi-threading and things working on different threads. That happens with libuv. libuv handles a lot of important things inside Node.js, and this is a very important superpower, my dear friend. So, but what I'm trying to say is, see, at the end of the day, it looks beautiful inside a diagram, right? This is Node.js, V8 is inside it, superpowers is inside it. What does it actually mean? It actually means that it's a whole folder structure. There is some piece of code and there is a JavaScript engine V8 inside it, right? There is superpower libUI inside it. There is a V8 code inside it. This is the V8 engine, right? So let me just zoom it so that you are able to see it properly. Nothing fancy. It's all code, my dear friends. Whatever you see in this diagram is just code. There is a code which is reading your code. See, when I say that you are passing some code inside the V8 engine, what does it mean? Your code is being read by somebody else's code, right? Node.js code, and then it is taking that code and passing it into another code which is V8 engine, right? Everything is code. There is no machine or engine or some fancy diagrams or something happening inside the computer. No, computer is just code, right? So these are the fancy diagrams which we use to explain these things. But and I'm surprised that a lot of people don't understand all of this. When I explain it with a diagram, they feel that okay, actually there would be some box which is running a code or something. No, right? Nothing. So you'll see everything, right? I will make you a developer who thinks. Your mindset will be different, right? I want my students to be not noobs. Like they see, there are two types of developers. One are the developer, they just make things work. They don't know what's happening. They are given some task, they are able to do it. There are developers who are actual developers, the programmers, the nerds, who want to dive deep and understand what's behind the scenes, what's happening. And I want you to be that developer. Okay? If you don't want to be that developer, you can skip this video altogether. If you don't know anything what I have taught in this video, then also you can write some node code. But when you understand what I am teaching in this video, that is what make you an, epic developer. You will be a epic developer. You will be a great developer. You will be a excellent developer. Right? See, developer's job is not just to develop code and write code or something. They should understand how things are working behind the scenes. Because somebody has written this code, right? Somebody has written this code and somebody is still writing it. See, 2 years ago, 5 months ago, and active development is happening inside this libUI also. Right? Somebody has written this code. That is what I wanted to show you. Okay, I got distracted. I wanted to show you where is this require method, right? So I'll show it to you. Go to the Node.js repository. Inside that, go to, where is the Node.js repository? Here it is, right? Node.js repository. Over here, go to lib. So this lib folder is the library folder. All the utility methods that you find, like require and all these things, basically all the JavaScript things. See, if you will go into other folders, you will find a lot of C++ code and whatnot. All majority of the JavaScript code is inside this libUI folder, right? I can take a full 10 hours session or I can make a full course on this code walkthrough over here, but I am not going to do that right now. I will try to give you a rough idea about how Node.js repository is, because it's interesting, right? I would just give you a brief idea so that you can explore it yourself. But I'm just telling you, I can make a whole course out of this repository itself. It's such a beautiful way of managing code and written code. We'll just go inside it. But I'm just telling you whatever I have observed. So see, in the lib folder, you will find all sort of JavaScript files and functions and everything that you can use. Right? Suppose if you are using some set timeout or something, that code must be inside timers. Right? That code must be inside timers or some other file timers over here, right? I have seen that code also. If you go to this timers.js, you will find all the set timeout and everything over here, right? So you will find out. See this. This is timeout. This is set timeout. So basically, suppose if you are writing set timeout in your function, right? You are writing this set timeout. Where is this set timeout coming from? It is coming from here. It is coming from here. How set timeout works behind the scenes? This is the code which is run. This is the code which is run inside set timeout. Have you ever seen what happens inside set timeout? Can you write a polyfill for set timeout? A lot of people asked me that can you write a polyfill for set timeout? This is the code which runs behind set timeout. Nobody has ever taken an attempt to go inside the Node.js repository and see what is written inside set timeout. Somebody would have written, right? If we are able to use, see, we write it very easily, right? We just write set timeout, right? This is how we write set timeout over here. And we give it a function. And then we give it a console.log of set timeout. Okay, set timeout. And this set timeout will be called after, say, suppose 3 seconds, okay? 3000 milliseconds. Okay, not here, sorry. It ran automatically. Here we give it 3000. Okay, and then let us run this code. So after 3 seconds, see, it is waiting for 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, see, set timeout is printed after 3 seconds. We does that. But how it is working behind the scenes, my dear friends, tell me. Somebody would have written this function, right? Set timeout. This is where it is. See this. You have passed in a callback function and you have passed in the time over here, isn't it? The delay over here. So how does this set timeout work? This is the callback function and this after is the delay. After how much delay? And do you know that you can pass in arguments also over here? Nobody knew that I can pass in something else also. You can pass these arguments also over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can pass different type of arguments over here. Right? So what I am telling you, this set timeout is executed after 3 seconds. How does it work? See this. You can just see this, how it is happening, right? It creates a new timeout. Now what is this timeout? This is a class timeout. Now go and check what is there inside class timeout. See, this class timeout has a constructor, right? And it is just checking the timers. And see, it is also doing module.export. It is also doing module.export. And why we are able to access set timeout over here? Because somebody, see, at the end of the day, this timer.js is also a module, right? Do you understand it very, very closely? Just understand very small thing. At the end of the day, this timer.js, this file is also a module, isn't it? It is also a module. And this module has a function set timeout. Then you need to export something from this module. That is when we are able to use it over here. Right? Some module would have exported it somewhere, right? That is why I am able to use it set timeout over here. Isn't it? So this is where this module.export set timeout is written. Got it? So this is how things work, right? A lot of, and if you will understand, if you will read it, you will understand everything, right? If I start explaining you how set timeout works, then it will take a lot of time. Let me just skip it for now, but go read about it. There is a concept known as tick in milliseconds, right? See this. 499 ms, right? This is a tick ms, tick milliseconds, right? Now see, how does it implement behind the scenes? See, how does it calculate the time between two things? There must be a time which is calculating. How does it calculate that 3000 millisecond has passed? It calculates, right, that 3000 millisecond has passed. After 3000 milliseconds, this code will run. How does it check? It calculates the date.now. It takes the present time and then it will wait for the timeout and then it will run. And there will be event loop which comes into picture and throws that callback onto the call stack, and then code is executed inside the JavaScript engine. Now this line which I have told you, this you will understand it later on when we will move ahead in this course. But event loops come into picture and all these things happens. But what I am trying to say is, my dear friends, you are a developer, you are a senior developer. If you don't even have an experience, if you are curious, you can go inside Node.js and understand everything, how it works behind the scenes. Why not? Somebody like us have written this code, right? There is some developer who has written this code. What is there inside it? It's just code. It's just if else see. It is if else condition which is written, right? What you don't understand in it, right? See this. Everything is it, right? There is a class, there is a constructor. If you know JavaScript properly, if your fundamentals of JavaScript is strong, then this code is easy for you, right? It is very easy code. what I am trying to do by this video is not trying to explain you something, not trying to teach you something. I'm just trying to make you curious. Curiosity is something which you'll have to develop for yourself. I am curious. If you will become a very curious developer, nobody can stop you to become a very experienced and a very amazing developer. A difference between an average developer and an experienced and a very smart developer, excellent developer, is that they are curious. They want to dive deep. They want to learn. They want to understand how things work behind the scenes, under the hood. Beautiful things are there. Somebody has written some code which we just directly use. We are just writing very easy. We have a very easy job of writing all this. It's very easy. The actual thing is over here. Right? That gives you a kick. And suppose somebody created Node.js and now this code is being run on lakhs and millions of machines. Think about it. Millions of machine, Node.js is being installed. Everybody is installing Node.js. Everybody who is watching this video, you are watching this video, you are running this code. when we went to our Node.js, right? We went to the Node.js official website. We downloaded some piece of code. What happened? This is the same code which was packaged and given to us. And we executed that C++ program and started writing our code. What is this? This is the code, right? You can read it. It's open source. It's for free. Open source has done wonders for the developer community, my dear friends. Amazing, right? So, okay. So, my bad. Sorry, I came here to explain you the require statement and I went inside set timeout. I should not. Let me close it. But if you go to, see, first of all, if you go to Node.js and over there, don't go to dependencies or something, go to lib, lib, and inside this lib, go to internal, right? Internal of lib, and over here the module. There is a module. Yes, here is the modules. Now, as I told you, there are two things, right? There are two types of modules. What are they? CommonJS and ESM, right? Where is it? Where is the slide? Where is the slide of CommonJS and ESM? CommonJS, yes, this is one. So there is two types of module, CommonJS, ESM, right? Why I am telling you all this is, see, in your code you will find like this, CJS and ESM. This CJS is CommonJS modules and ESM means ESM modules, right? ES6 modules. That import export statement is ESM and CJS is the default version of modules that we import, right? So now Node.js has a different way of dealing different type of modules, right? So similarly, Node.js has a different way of dealing. All that code will be written over here. And Node.js also uses a helper function. See this helpers.js. This is the most important file. If you'll go and see the helpers.js, here you will find the actual implementation of the require method. Here is where a require function is formed. This require that you use, this will be inside over here. How? Let me show it to you. Go to this helpers.js. Go to this path, node lib internal module helper.js, and just go to this function make require function. Okay, this is a function make require function, right? So this function is basically building that require function. The function require that you are writing in your code, let me just bring this over here first of all. See, this require function that you are writing, it is being built by this function. This is the function, and if you will see the return of this function, this is returning this require. And this require is what you are using. Got it? The require that you are using in your code is returned from here. This require is returned from here. Now I told you, right, that how require function works. I told you, right, require function works. Right, require function resolves the path and does loading and wraps it inside an IFI and all. You will find that code also. Let us try to read it. Let's see this. Now, this require function is basically creating a module. See this, creating a module. This mod is an instance of module. So basically this module is a class and this basically it's a function constructor, right? And it is checking module and now it is calling the mod.require path over here. This mod.require path over here. Got it? This is mod.require path. Now what it is doing is, as I told you, it is first of all resolving the path. It is resolving the path. I told you that stop, right? First of all, it will do is what? Resolve the module. It will do resolve the module. So over here, see, it is resolving the module. Now what it is doing is, it is validating, right? It is validating all the path. And then what it is doing is, it is basically, there must be a process where, yes, see, over here you see caching also. See this, module.cache. It is caching also. I told you, right? It is caching also. Now, I will also show you how it wraps inside an IFI and all. Everything is written inside code. Don't worry, right? I'll show you to you. Right? So how it is, just try to, so I am just going it very fast. That is why it is taking time. See, now it is, what is this module underscore extension? First of all, let me find out where is this module, right? So if I go, where is this module coming from? See, over here also, see, we have this require statement. See, there are so many other files where our require statement is. And one thing you will see is, here you would have had a, just a minute. There would be internal, and there must be some CJS over here, right? There must be some CJS over here. See this. Lazy module. Do you see? When you require the function, you create a module. This module is coming from lazy module. This lazy module function is this. What it is doing behind the scenes, it is requiring the CJS loader.module. Got it? It is requiring a CJS module. So what does this require means? Basically, you are importing the code of this file. Where is this file? Module CJS loader. This is helper file. This is the CJS file. So basically, see, this helper file is the common file for ESM as well as CJS. But this CJS loader is for specifically for CommonJS modules, right? And this contains the actual code. This will contain the actual code, how things work, how things are running, and all those things, right? So let us go over here and let us just see important things. See, here also we have a function require. The thing which you saw, right? Mod. So in helper, you saw that mod.require. There was one mod.require, right? Where is that mod.require? Okay, I need to go to make require function. Yes, see, there was this mod.require function, mod.require path. So it is referring to this loader file, and over here we have a require function. Okay, so module.prototype.require, this is the actual require function which is being returned. Got it? So now what happens? Now see, you have path. This ID is the path that you pass, right? So whatever you pass in over here, this is the ID. Now see, it is validating if it is a string or not. Then it is saying if the ID is empty, then throw an exception. See this. This is the exception. ID must be a non-empty string. What does this mean? If this ID is empty, see this. Do you understand this piece of code? Let me just make it zoom. Maybe you are not able to read it. Yes. See this. In require function, you are passing this path. If this ID is empty, then you are throwing a new exception over here. Must be a non-empty string. Right? So basically it is saying that if you don't pass anything inside it, right? Let us just pass empty string over here, right? If we pass in empty string over here, and let me just call this. Let me just run this. See this. Do you get the error? Do you see this? Error invalid rtime. The argument ID must be a non-empty string. Must be a non-empty string. The argument ID must be a non-empty string. See this. Error invalid arg value. This is the same error. See this. Error invalid arg value. ID must be a non-empty string. ID must be a non-empty string. Do you see this, my dear friends? Whatever happens in your Node.js code is executed here. Just go ahead and read it. Is it hard? We just don't do it. I'm telling you, whenever I tell and go and show this Node.js code to somebody, people just feel that, oh my God, Akshay, was it that easy? Yes, it is easy. You can understand Node.js code, internals. Suppose if your code, something is not working over here, you actually know why it is not working. This is more level deep than the documentation. If you can directly read the open source code, very important skill that will make you a crazy developer. Nobody in your courses will teach you all this. I, as a teacher, I am a developer and a teacher, and I'm a curious person. I want my student to be good learners, curious, and ready to dive deep and become very curious about everything. Every statement, every word that you write inside code, you should know the meaning of every word over here. See, just to explain you the meaning of this require, I have dived so much deep. When I am coding, I want to know the meaning of everything. What is module? Why you are doing module.export? Why not just module? Why you are writing this? Why this is happening like this? Why is this working behind the scenes like that? Ask question. Why, how, when, where? The more better questions you ask, the better developer you will become. The better answers you will find out. If you don't get the answers in your blogs or in YouTube videos, you will not get answers on, when I explore myself, when I learn as a developer, as a teacher myself, I don't get answers in YouTube videos or developers. I sometimes have to go into documentation, sometimes have to go inside the code like this to understand what is happening behind the scenes. That's how I learn, and that's what I want to give you as a teacher, that if something you can take from me, take this. This has helped me in my life a lot. Today, the courses, my React course, front-end system design, Namaste Node, are popular because of all this. Because I have put in a lot of efforts to understand, and I want to spread curiosity. I just don't want to teach you Node.js. I want to make you a great developer. I want you to be a great Node.js developer. I want you to be curious if you are my student. I just don't want to just sell a Node.js course to you. No, I don't want to do that. It just comes as a part of business. But right now, I as a teacher want my student who is doing so great. Okay, so this is what it is. Now let me just go ahead. Enough of senti statements, but see this. I told you, right? See, require function will wrap this module. Wrap this module. See, wrap module load. There is a function wrap module load. If you will go and see how it is loading, like just go and see the wrap module load, right? So if you will go to wrap module load function, where it is, if you click, see on the right hand side, it will show you. If you click on this, it will take you to wrap module load. Right? Now, if you will see wrap module load, so you will see that over here it is doing something, it is starting a timer, it is doing a log label or something. See, there are so many things which you might not also understand, but if you will go slowly, you will understand everything. I am skipping some piece of code and I am showing you the most important ones. If you will do on require trace sync, it will call module.load. This is a very important function. It will call module.load. Okay, go to module.load. If you click on it, go over here. This is the module.load function, right? Now in module.load, you will find that, see what it is doing. It is first of all checking, see this. It is first of all checking if my, if it is inside a cached module or not. See, before even loading a module, it checks whether it is there inside cache or not. Maybe it has been cached already. So it is first of all checking inside the cache. See, it is checking whether that file name that you have passed in, this file name that you have passed in, right? This file name that you have passed in, if that file name is inside the cache or not. Otherwise, we have got the cache module, right? Then just return the cache module.exports. If you have got that module inside the cache module, then just return its exports. That's how simple we need to do, right? So if you have got this, suppose if you did not get the cache, right? Suppose if you did not got this file inside the cache, then you actually will do something, right? What you will do, then you will basically see, now you are adding it to the cache, I think, right? Or here it is doing cache module. Okay, it is again checking whether it is in cache or not. if it is not inside, if the cache module is not undefined. Okay, so then you again return this cache module dot export. Go read it up, right? I mean, read it things up, right? See, if it is not inside the cache module, see, if it is not inside the cache module, then what you need to do? Now it is telling you, if you are not inside the cache module, what you need to do? It is doing all this, right? So it is adding to the cache and doing all these things. Now finally, it is, suppose, see how generally code is written inside Node.js or inside this repository is, first of all, you check for the cache module, you check for the errors, you check for all the checks and all. And later on towards the end, what it does, it actually calls the module.load. So this is, see, after checking everything, it is not there in cache, it is not null, the file path is correct, the resolution is fine, the extensions are fine, all the checks are done. Now it is actually loading the module in a try catch block, right? In a try catch block, it is loading the module, right? So when it is loading the module, it is basically loading this, it is inside this step, right? Now if you will go to loading the module, what it will do, it will basically go to the file system and get the file content, right? What it will do, basically it will get the file content according to the file type, right? If you will go and see the module.load, is it there? This is the function load, see. So this basically will load the file from the file system. Where it will be written, let me just show it to you. There must be some code written over there. See, this dot file name is this file name, and then you will find the extension. See, what type of extension is there? If the extension is MJS, if the extension is JS, if different type of extension, according to those extension, things will work, right? So according to that extension, things will work. And now module underscore extension. So if you will see module underscore extension, so see this over here on the right hand side, do you see this? Right? So over here in this module.extension, there is a JS file. So see, if your extension is a .js file, then what should you do? If your module, see, there is another function. If your extension is .json, what you should do? There is a separate function for it. If your file is a .node file, see, if your file is a .node file, what you should do? So there are all cases written over here. If you will see, you will find all these things. So let us just go to JS file. So see, we are just, see, built-in handler for JS files, because we are handling JS files over here, right? So basically, see, xyz.js. So if there is a JS file, how should you handle that? Let me just show it to you. If you go over here, then it will do a module.compile. This is again a compile function. Okay, compile function. Okay, so we will come back to this code once again, right? Let me copy it here, right? But let us go to compile.function once again. How do you compile the code? You click on it. Now if you go to compile the code, see this. Now this compile is the next step over here. This wraps inside IFI. This step is the compile step. Okay, let me write it down. I was forgetting the name. This is the compile step. Third step is compile. Note it down. Right? This is the compile step. Compile. Now, inside the compile, it will wrap your component. See, inside the compile, it is wrap your component in a wrap safe function. Right? It's complex, it's nested at a lot of level, but that's how the code are, right? When you build a very big library, you built it in this fashion. You might, it might just go through it one by one, inside second, inside third, inside fourth. You will understand the whole code. Now let us go to inside this wrap safe. So basically it is wrapping safe the content, whatever the content we have got, and the file name, it is wrapping safe. What is this wrap safe, right? Go to wrap safe function, right? If I go to wrap safe function, it is calling module.wrap content, right? It is calling module.wrap content, right? And what it is calling, let me just see, it is wrapped. And just give me a moment. Module.wrap. Where is this wrap function? If I go to this wrap function, See this, what it is doing. This is the main function, my dear friends. This is the main function. I told you, right? I told you that it is putting inside the IFI. Do you want to see it actually in the code? Whatever I told you is not false. Where is the IFI? Shall I show you? It is doing it over here. It is saying that this is the wrapper. Do you see this code, IFI? What is this? This is IFI, my dear friends. Let me just copy this up. Just understand this piece of code. Just understand this piece of code, nothing else. Just understand this piece of code. It is wrapping function. What it is doing is, it is returning. See, what is module.wrapper? Let me just copy this code and show it to you in my browser. Or maybe, there is a cool way. I don't know if you know it or not. Whenever you are inside this code over here, in your keyboard, just press the full stop or the full stop button, right? Full stop or the dot button. If you press the dot button over here, it takes you to it opens your code inside V8. Oh, sorry, VS Code. Basically, it makes your GitHub into a dev mode, and over here it will load all the file inside see, this is your own VS Code, right? Do you see this cool thing? A lot of people don't know about it, right? But the more you are curious, the better you will know. Okay, so we have got this code. Now let me explain you. Okay, so you are here inside module.wrap. Okay, so just search for module.wrap. Where is the wrap function? Let me go to the wrap function. Where is the, oh my god, I have lost the wrap function. Where is the wrap function? Oh my god. Okay. Let me just find it up. Function, or maybe how would you find it? Require, or no. Look, what was the name of the function? Wrap, right? Wrap function dot wrap. Okay, module dot, oh, it was on the top. Yep, here it is. See this. This was the wrap function. Now what is happening over here? Just see this piece of code, right? See this piece of code. So basically, it is wrapping inside this function. See, what is it doing is, this wrapper module.wrapper is this wrapper. So it is taking, see, it is an array. It is an array, isn't it? It is an array. This thing is an array. The first index of this array is this, and the second index of this array is this. Got it? So what it is doing, it is saying wrapper of 0, that means this statement, plus your script. Script is the content. Script is this file. Whatever the code is there is coming in between, and then module wrapper of 1. That means this. Let me just show it to you, okay? Let me just copy this code and let us go to our browser console, okay? So let me just go to browser console. Let me show it to you. This is the wrapper. What is wrapper.0? Wrapper of 0. See this. This thing. Okay? And then what is wrapper of 1? What is wrapper of 1? It is these curly closing braces. Right? And then in between of these two, it is putting the script. It is putting the script. And the script is the whole script that we have learned. So basically at the end of the day, in this compile step, we are doing string concatenation. We are doing a string concatenation. We are basically, see, it's a string. And this is that immediately invoked function expression that I was talking about. See this. Let me write it down over here. You will understand it better. See, this is wrapper of 0, and this is wrapper of, see, this is the new line. See, this is the new line. So new line, remove it. So what is this? This is a function expression, isn't it? This is the immediately invoked function expression that I am talking about. And it is wrapping it. That is why it is known as the wrap function, wrap safe function. And in between, it is in between of these two statement, it is wrapping up the script. This script is all the code of your module. And now I told you, right, that it is putting module and require over here. See this, it is putting exports, require, module, underscore file name, underscore dir name. It is putting all these things inside it. So basically, it is the compile step where basically it is putting all these things inside it, inside an IFI, right? So basically what it is doing over here, if we go, I told you, right, this is the IFI and inside it, it puts the code. So here it is. So it is basically doing a string concatenation at the end of the day. I don't know if this is good or not, right? Trust me. I feel that, okay, string concatenations are not good, but that's how code is written inside Node.js. That's how code is written inside Node.js. Isn't it amazing? Right? So what I'm saying is it's crazy thing, my dear friends. The more you will see, the more you will know. And now you would say, Akshay, can I do underscore file name just like I do module.export? Yes, you can. Let me show it to you. Right? See, this is a component, right? You had this xyz.js. You can just do it over here. Console.log of underscore file name. See, it is automatically, it will be there. If you log it, you will get something. Right? See this, you have got this file name over here. Where is this file name coming from? Do you see this? Users, Akshay Saini, desktop, Namaste Node, this file. This is the full file name. And if you will do directory name, you can also do a dir name, underscore dir name, right? Now if I go back, run again, see, this is your directory, code directory, repository directory, and this is your file path, right? So this is, where is this coming from? This is coming because Node.js is wrapping you inside it, wrapping your code. This whole code is being wrapped inside this function. Now there are a lot of things which I can tell you, right? But let me go back to our github.com, not github.dev. Okay, so you can go to github.com once again on the same URL and it will take you back to the github.com thing. What I'm saying is there are amazing things, right? If you will see this repository, you will find amazing things over here, right? And let me tell you, it is just the developer, just like you and me, who have written this code, right? If you will go to this file, let me show you some crazy stuff also. I was watching one catch statement. So if you'll see, right? See this. Now, I was just assume, see, over here, if you will go to this module.extension.js, right? Module.extension.js, there is a code which is known as try catch. And see what is written inside this catch block. Continue regardless of the errors. Oh my God, the developer who wrote this was so outrageous, right? See what is the code written inside Node.js. And this is the code, Node.js code, which is running on millions of servers, my dear friends. And see the code, right? See this code, my dear friends. It is written continue regardless of error. Whatever error is there, just continue. Just ignore all the errors. There is nothing inside the catch block. It looks like some developer has just left it, right? So what I'm trying to say is, there are so many amazing things, right? See this. How is file content read? See this, fs.read file. So when you will read the file, see, when you will, suppose if you have to read the code of this file, how will you read it? It is read like this, fs.read file sync. And I told you that in CommonJS, everything, the file contents are loaded in synchronous way, right? Synchronous way. This is the file sync. See this sync. It is loaded in a synchronous way. And it is written continue regardless of errors. I literally laughed out loud, right? I was laughing so much when I first read this statement. But that's how things are. And it is also written by developers. Now let me show you one more important thing. If you go to the top of this file, right? If you go to the top of the file, you'll find this copyright joint. Do you know what is joint? Do you remember what is joint? The controversy, the things which I told you about joint, right? So this is This is the same joint. Remember, let me just show it to you. Wait. If I go back to our slides, if you see the history, I told you, right, there was a company named Joint. And the developer, the creator, Ryan Dahl, he was creating Node.js as an individual independent project, and then he later joined the company Joint, right? And Joint now owned the Node.js. So this is copyright Joint, right? That is where these small things are there which I really love about reading. When I go inside this code, I will find these small things and I just really love, right? So this is what I wanted to show you. Go ahead and explore. If you will find to do, there are so many to do's inside this file, right? So see, there are so many to do's you will find. See this to do, and it is written by Joey Cheong. I am not sure if I am pronouncing the username correctly, but see, people have written to do's. That means they are working actively on this. People are working actively in this file. There are to do's. Somebody needs to come and finish it, right? See, deprecate this in favor of proper hook. I don't really know what does this mean, to be honest, but I'm just saying there are so many to do's also. Node.js was built in 2000 and tell me in what year Node.js was built? I won't tell you now. It has been so many decades since Node.js has been built, but still there are to do's over here. See, add the require call stack as well, require stack as well, right? If you go to do, allow both MJS and CJS files, right? See, there are so much to do code. See, add a require stack over here as well, right? We may want to invent optional spatial handling of default exports here. For now, it's good enough to be identical to what import returns. See this. If you will keep reading more, the more you will understand this code. That's how it is. Okay, see, I can just take 2-3 more hours and keep explaining you this, but it will be a lot difficult session. And to be very honest, I also don't completely understand 100% of this code. I understand a small portion of it, but I understand what I need to. And I'm really curious about all these things. What I'm trying to say is 99% of the developers, Node.js developers, don't even know that Node.js is open source, and they have never been to this repository. They don't even have never read the documentation or the official documentation of Node.js. If you go to this is the official documentation of Node.js. If you want to find anything, you will find it over here in this official documentation, Node.js 22 documentation. No Node.js developer will go to this documentation and forget about the code, right? This is the code. I have just gone one level deep, right? Nobody is going to the code. But if you are a developer, if you are curious a little, if you can go read the documentation, if you can go read the code, nobody can stop you from being a real nerd, real amazing developer. I don't know why, but I get a lot of curious about all these things, how code are written and all of things. And I know there would be a lot of you who would be interested and now will go to this repository and try to find important and amazing things inside it. If you are curious, my dear friends, I would request you, I am folding my hands, please go become curious. My job as a teacher is not just to sell you Node.js courses. No, I want to actually educate you. I genuinely from my heart want you to be a very good developer, my dear friends. I want you to give all the knowledge I have so that you take my knowledge and become a better developer than me. It took me a lot of years to reach over here. Lot of years, my dear friends. It's been more than 10 years or more than 12 years since I'm coding JavaScript and all that stuff. So many years I'm coding and learning all these things. I want to give you all my knowledge so that you can build on top of it. Become more great developer than me at a young age, right? Even younger than me, people can watch these videos and become that. And that's how our developer community will evolve, right? I want as a teacher you to become curious and go. A lot of students ask me, Akshay, where do you learn? I don't have any specific resource where I learn. I learn from wherever I can get. If I get from YouTube video, I get from blogs, I get from any source, I get from ChatGPT, I get from code, I get from documentation, I get from blogs, I get from LinkedIn post, I get from Stack Overflow. I read everything. Right? So I don't wanted this Namaste Node.js course to be a normal JavaScript random course, Node.js course available. I want to focus upon these internal concepts, because once your foundation is strong, once I have planted the seed of curiosity in your head and you became curious, my half of the job is done. And Node.js is very easy, right? All this code that you write is very easy. You will see, the difficulty level where I am going right now, these things are more difficult than what you will see outside, right? When you will create your own API, connect to database, very easy. Most of the job is done by these superpowers, right? This is the superpower, my dear friends. Most of the job is done by V8 engine, right? We are just writing piece of code over here. A lot of things are happening here. Lot of things are happening in these superpowers. And we will keep exploring more and more superpowers. We will keep exploring more and more about V8 engine. Got it? This was it, my dear friends. This is what I wanted to explain you in this video. Hope you would have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, my dear friends, I have a very important request from you all. If you are liking this series, please give me a feedback on social media. Please write about us on social media. Share your knowledge. Share whatever you have learned in this video, whatever you have found, or share whether you are falling in love with Node.js or not. Are you falling in love? If you are falling in love with Node.js, write it down on social media. Tweet that I am falling in love with Node.js and tag me along on that tweet. Write it on a LinkedIn post that I'm falling in love with Node.js, and talk about Namaste Node on social media. It will help us also promote. Talk about Namaste Node to your friends, family, to your network on social media. It will help us reach more and more people. It will help me as a teacher reach more and more students. I want to reach more and more students and spread this knowledge out across. Please help me doing that. This is a sincere request from me, right? And keep learning, keep becoming curious. Never be insecure that somebody else will take your job or I should only know this information. No, share this information with a lot of people. Share it with your friends. At the last, the person who will be very good will be the winner. Become curious, learn a lot, keep learning a lot, raise the bar, and I believe in a quote that you rise by lifting others, right? I am lifting you, you lift others, and that's how the community grows. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I will see you in the next episode with another topic, another important concept, and we'll keep diving deep inside Node.js. Hope you are enjoying this series. Thanks for watching.